Hi there. So today I wanted to talk to you about what I consider the principles of healthy eating. So these principles I've found over the years, they're really everywhere in the literature, but sort of like distilling them and refining them is kind of another matter. And what I find is that the body ecology diet has probably done the best job of that. So I'm just going to give you what I consider the principles of good eating as a sort of a foundational basis with which to structure how you eat and the foods that you choose. So the first thing I want to talk about is expansion and contraction. So this is an idea that's really supported in the literature around Chinese medicine, and this whole idea of yin and yang, right, balancing the energies of the food, with expanding foods at the extreme end being the sweet foods like fruits, and then at the opposite end, the contracting foods would be more things like protein and salty foods, with salt being the most extreme. So you ideally want to have a nice balance of these two. The second principle I wanted to present is that of the acid-alkaline balance in the body. So when people have cancer, they always have an acidic body at the constitution of it, because that's where bacteria and viruses tend to proliferate, is in an acidic environment. So you want to keep your body as alkaline as possible, and the best way to do that is by eating a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, where you have ideally 20% is proteins and carbohydrates, and then 80% would be fruits and vegetables. The third principle is that of uniqueness, the idea that we're all sort of our own unique biome, and how we eat then needs to support that, right? Some of us have fast metabolism, some of us have slower metabolisms. So a better way to approach is to look at, well, first of all, what is your metabolism? How can you improve your gut health? How can you begin to do things like cleanse your liver? And that takes us into the third principle, which is that of cleansing, right? So I mentioned the liver, and of course we live in this environment where there's just so much toxicity in terms of like the pesticides in fruits and vegetables, hormones added to the meats. And then anything that you buy is made from synthetic materials. Plastics, for example, have the propensity to gas off. There's radiation in the environment, automobile exhaust. We're basically onslaught with all these different chemicals around us, this chemical soup we live in. So it's really, contingent upon us to consider taking care of our liver through cleansing. And one of the ways to do this is kind of approaching it by eating a lot more raw fruits and vegetables. Lemon water is a great way to cleanse the system. These things, and to do them cyclically. I think that that's the best way to approach cleansing, right? You don't want to do everything at once. You sort of want to do, drinking lots of water is a great way to do it. So it's always happening at a slow process that you can manage, because if you try to do it too quickly, you'll end up with a lot of different symptoms by the side of that. Like the Herxheimer reaction is a really great example, where your body's just expelling the toxins and you just feel sick, right, because they're floating around in your system. So the fifth one now that I want to talk about is food combining. And food combining was really popularized in the 80s with the Fit for Life books and the whole association of natural hygiene, right? And basically, food combining at its essence is you want to eat your fruits on an empty stomach, and you want to eat them alone, because they digest a lot quicker than other foods. So if you've eaten other foods first and the fruit is sitting there, it has a tendency to rot. The second one is you want to eat your proteins with non-starchy vegetables, and then you want to be also eating your carbohydrates with non-starchy vegetables. And then combining those two together, what you get is one of the foundational aspects of food combining is that you do not combine your proteins with your carbohydrates, because they require different pHs in the stomach to digest, right? Protein requires a more acidic environment than carbohydrates. Next is the 80-20 rule. So you want to eat till your stomach's 80% full, leaving 20% the room for digestion, right? So that you're not overstuffing yourself. That can be worse than eating the wrong kinds of foods. And then on your plate, you want to choose 20% of the acidic forming foods and 80% of the alkaline forming foods in any meal that you do eat. And then finally, the last step that I want to talk about is that of step by step, where you move slowly, bringing in new changes. It can sometimes take up to 3 months in order for you to see a change. So for example, I've started doing the medical medium protocol, but I'm really slowly moving into that. I'm still drinking green tea every day, which is probably not the best thing for me in the long run. But I'm using it kind of as a way to sort of ease into it, because I know when I do give it up, then my body sort of goes through this period of sometimes for as long as 3 months where I'm just very, very thirsty, so I have to drink a lot more water, and my body just doesn't want salt, right, in order to bring back some kind of a natural balance. So approaching these kinds of changes in a step-by-step fashion is a really wise way to move in terms of how you approach bringing changes in towards your health, because as I said, it can take a long time for your body to adjust to these different things. So thank you.